Life has a way of pulling you in 1,000 directions at once. Just when you think you're finally catching your breath, someone comes along with another demand, another expectation, another favor. It could be family, friends, co-workers, even people you barely know. And before you realize it, you're drained, running on empty, giving away the very things that make you whole. Ever feel like you're carrying the world on your shoulders while everyone else walks free? Like you've become the person others turn to for support, but when you need help, all you hear is silence. It's a slow kind of suffocation, one that doesn't happen overnight, but creeps in like a thief, stealing your time, your energy, and your inner peace. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But how can you protect your thoughts when the world keeps invading your mind? How can you find peace when you're constantly giving, constantly bending, constantly sacrificing? The truth is, life was never meant to be an endless struggle of meeting everyone else's needs while neglecting your own. You weren't born to be someone's emotional sponge, nor were you put on this earth to be the background character in someone else's story. This is your life, and the more you let others drain you, the more you fade into a version of yourself you barely recognize. But here's the good news. You can take your power back. You can break free from the silent traps that have been stealing your soul. Today, we're going to uncover 5 things you should never let anyone take from you. These aren't just small inconveniences. These are the very foundations of your peace, your strength, and your purpose. If you've ever felt exhausted but couldn't explain why, if you've ever given so much that there was nothing left for yourself, this is the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. Get ready, because once you see these traps for what they really are, you'll never fall into them again. Let's begin. 1. Stop carrying the world on your shoulders. It's not yours to hold. Ever found yourself saying yes to something only to regret it later? That sinking feeling, the silent voice in your head asking, "Why did I agree to this?" It happens more often than we'd like to admit. A simple favor, a harmless request, something that feels too small to refuse. But before you know it, you're not just helping, you're carrying the whole thing. It starts subtly. A friend asks for a little assistance. A family member needs a hand with something just this once. A coworker pushes a task your way because you're so good at this. And then, like a vine creeping up a wall, their responsibilities become yours. What was once light becomes heavy. What felt manageable turns into an unbearable load. Imagine a ship overloaded with cargo. At first, it sails smoothly. But with each extra box, each unnecessary weight, the ship begins to sink. That's exactly what happens when you take on burdens that aren't yours. You keep saying yes, believing you can handle it, until one day you're drowning and no one is reaching out to pull you up. I learned this lesson the hard way. A relative once asked me for a little help organizing a party for their child. I thought I'd be picking out a gift, maybe offering a suggestion or two. Before I knew it, I was handling everything. Booking the venue, arranging food, making the guest list. And my relative? They sat back, saying, "You're just so much better at this than me." By the time the party arrived, I was exhausted. They smiled, took the credit, and when I finally expressed how overwhelmed I felt, they dismissed it. "It's just one day. You're overthinking it." That's when I understood. Helping doesn't mean handing over your peace. Stoic philosophy reminds us that we must protect our energy. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. So ask yourself, does this responsibility truly belong to you? Or are you carrying someone else's weight while they walk free? Saying no isn't selfish. It's self-respect. And every time you let go of what isn't yours, you say yes to your own peace, your own priorities. Stop carrying loads that were never meant for you. Let others stand on their own feet. That's how you protect yourself from being drained. 2. Your wallet isn't a charity. Stop funding other people's mistakes. Picture this. It's a peaceful morning. You're sitting by the window, sipping your coffee, enjoying a rare moment of stillness. Then, your phone rings. A familiar voice greets you, but it's not just a friendly check-in. They need money. An urgent loan. A little help, just this once. And maybe, out of kindness, you say yes. But here's the truth. Just this once rarely stops there. One request turns into another. The moment people know you're willing to give, you become their go-to ATM. No PIN required, just guilt, excuses, and a never-ending cycle of, "I promise I'll pay you back." Let me tell you about my friend David. He was the guy who never said no. One day, an old friend reached out, desperate for a loan to cover a financial emergency. David agreed, but then came another call, this time for a car repair, then another, for overdue bills. Before he knew it, he wasn't just helping, he was funding someone else's life at the cost of his own peace. Every time his phone rang, anxiety hit. He already knew what was coming. The worst part? The friend never repaid a single cent. Not even a simple thank you. Here's what you need to understand. Your money is the result of your hard work, your sacrifices, your discipline. It's not a free-flowing river for others to drink from whenever they please. You are not a bank. You are not a financial safety net. And you are definitely not responsible for fixing other people's poor decisions. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But how can you have peace of mind when your thoughts are consumed by financial stress? Every dollar you give away recklessly isn't just money lost. It's energy, time, and stability stolen from your future. But what if they get upset when you say no? What if they call you selfish? Here's a better question. If you faced a financial crisis tomorrow, who would step up for you? Who would sacrifice their peace to bail you out? If the answer is no one, then why are you draining yourself for people who wouldn't do the same? Saying no doesn't make you heartless. It makes you wise. It means you're protecting your future, your peace, and your ability to take care of yourself when it truly matters. Money is a tool to build a better life, to create opportunities, to provide security. It was never meant to be a bottomless well for others to drain dry. So set your boundaries. Protect your financial stability. And remember, every time you say no to someone else's endless needs, you're saying yes to your own peace. 3. Not your circus, not your monkeys. Stay out of family drama. Family is supposed to be a place of comfort, but sometimes it feels more like a battlefield. And the worst part? You're not even in the fight. Yet somehow, you keep getting dragged into the mess. Imagine this. You're enjoying a peaceful morning, sipping your coffee, lost in a good book. Then your phone rings. A relative, their voice urgent, launches into a heated story about a family dispute. Tom is being impossible. Our brother never compromises. You have to talk to them. And just like that, your peace is gone. I once made the mistake of stepping in when my uncles were fighting over property. I wasn't involved, but I thought, if I can just mediate, things will get better. So I did. I listened, I negotiated, I tried to bring balance. And the result? One accused me of favoritism. The other complained I wasn't firm enough. By the time it was over, nothing had changed. Except for one thing. I was exhausted, frustrated, and somehow on bad terms with both of them. That's when I learned the hard truth. Getting involved in family conflicts doesn't solve them. It just makes you the easiest target. People want a referee, someone to side with them, someone to take responsibility for fixing what they refuse to fix themselves. And if you say yes, you become the emotional sponge absorbing everyone's frustration. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You don't have to have an opinion on every event, nor do you have to carry every burden." And that's exactly the mindset you need when family drama comes knocking. But what if they call you selfish for staying out of it? What if they guilt trip you with lines like, "We're family. We have to stick together"? Here's a better question. Are you willing to sacrifice your peace for a fight that isn't yours? Are you ready to lose sleep, waste time, and damage relationships just to play referee in a game that never ends? Because that's exactly what will happen. The moment you step in, you become part of the problem. And when things go south, you're the one they'll blame. So, set boundaries. The next time someone tries to pull you in, say, "I respect both of you, but this isn't something I should be involved in." Let them handle their own disputes. Let them take responsibility for their own relationships. Your time is precious. Your energy is sacred. Don't waste it on fights that don't belong to you. Instead, invest it in what truly matters. A peaceful mind, a good book, a quiet afternoon, or a conversation with people who bring you real happiness. That's how you protect your soul from the never-ending whirlwind of family drama. 4. Stop shrinking yourself to fit. You were never meant to be small. Have you ever heard someone say, "Why don't you dress younger?" Or, "You should get on social media. Everyone's doing it." These comments might seem harmless, but underneath, there's an unspoken demand. Change who you are to fit what we want. Now, change itself isn't the problem. Growth is necessary. But when you start changing just to meet someone else's expectations, you begin to lose something far more valuable: your true self. Let me tell you about my friend Linda. She's a woman of simple, traditional values, content with her way of life. But when her daughter started building a modern career, the comments started coming. "Mom, you need to learn these new apps. You do things so slowly." Linda, wanting to stay connected, tried to adapt. She downloaded apps, forced herself to keep up, and adjusted her habits. But the more she changed, the more exhausted she felt. Instead of feeling closer to her daughter, she started questioning herself. Am I outdated? Am I not enough? That's when she realized something. She wasn't growing. She was shrinking, trying to fit into a mold that wasn't made for her. This is the trap most people fall into. They think that to be loved, to be accepted, they need to edit themselves, trim away the parts that don't match what others expect. But here's what you need to understand. You are not a product for others to modify. You are a person shaped by your own experiences, lessons, and values. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Your happiness depends on living in alignment with your own values, not on others' opinions." Yet, how many people live the opposite way, shaped by the expectations of others, afraid to disappoint, afraid to be different? Maybe you felt it too. The pressure to be more social, to change your looks, to match the trends, to be more of what others want instead of who you are. But here's the real question. Does this change truly serve you? Does it add value to your life? Or are you just doing it to keep someone else happy? If the answer is no, then your answer should be no. Some people might call you stubborn. Some might guilt trip you into believing that adapting means caring. But ask yourself, do they truly love you if they only accept the version of you that meets their standards? Those who genuinely respect you will never force you to abandon yourself. They will appreciate you for who you are, not for how well you fit their mold. This is your life. You don't owe anyone an edited version of yourself. Stop bending, stop shrinking, stop adjusting just to make others comfortable. True strength comes from standing firm in who you are. And once you do, you'll realize you were never meant to fit. You were meant to be. 5. Stop setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. Your happiness matters too. How many times have you set aside your own dreams just to make someone else happy? How often have you swallowed your desires, sacrificed your time, and bent over backward to meet the expectations of family, friends, or society? It starts small. A friend guilt trips you into doing something you don't want to do. A family member says, "I'd be so disappointed if you don't help." A colleague dumps extra work on your plate with a sad excuse, knowing you won't say no. These words seem harmless, but they carry weight. And before you know it, you're carrying everyone's burdens but your own. Mark was one of those people. Always reliable, always available. If his younger brother needed help with his car, Mark dropped everything. If a coworker asked him to finish their share of a project, he stayed late. If a friend was going through a tough time, he canceled his own plans to be there. It started as kindness. It ended in exhaustion. At first, Mark told himself this was what a good person does. But over time, he noticed something. No one ever asked if he needed anything. No one wondered if he had time for himself. The gym sessions he loved? Skipped. The weekend games with friends? Forgotten. The joy he once felt in life? Fading. That's when it hit him. People will take as much as you're willing to give, and they won't stop until you set a limit. You see, happiness isn't something you can sacrifice endlessly for others. When you constantly put everyone else first, they grow used to taking from you. They don't stop to think that you need love and care, too. You are not a supporting character in someone else's story. You are not the fixer of everyone's problems while neglecting your own. Marcus Aurelius once said, "A man is happy when he lives in harmony with himself." And that's the secret. Your peace, your fulfillment, your joy start with you. But what if they call you selfish? What if they say you've changed? Here's the better question. Are you living for their approval or for your own happiness? Saying no doesn't mean you don't care. It means you finally do. It means you're choosing yourself for once. It means you're refusing to be drained dry by people who never refill you. So, where do you start? First, ask yourself, what brings me real happiness? Then, make time for it. Protect it. Surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries instead of testing them. And when someone tries to make you feel guilty for putting yourself first, remember this. Self-respect is not selfishness. This life, whether long or short, is yours to live. If you keep sacrificing your joy just to please others, you'll wake up one day and realize you never truly lived at all. So stop setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. Your peace is priceless. Protect it at all costs.